Good morning, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you. Welcome to this thing that I do called Thor's Entertainment. I am Thor, and today I'm doing another Fatal Friday video. And Fatal Friday is the series I do where I go into the Kombat League for Mortal Kombat 1, and I casually play as the main roster characters and the cameo fighters, trying to earn their unique finishers such as Fatalities or Brutalities. For this week's Fatal Friday video, I'm busting out the Kameo Kung Lao and the main roster fighter Omni-Man again. Only this time, for the first time, I'm not highlighting Omni-Man. I am highlighting the Kameo Kung Lao. And what do I want to highlight for him? Well, that is going to be his Fatality Clean Cut. And this video is starting off with me facing off against somebody using Rain. And as you can tell, I got the finish him screen, and I should have been able to do the Fatality right here and now, but I screwed up the inputs for the Fatality. So instead, I think I did something that caused Omni-Man to jump or caused Kung Lao to come out a little bit too early, so the Fatality just didn't happen. So instead, I just settled for uppercutting my opponents and not doing the Fatality. I decided to leave that in just to show that sometimes, even when everything else goes right with the fight and you should easily just be able to do the Fatality because there's no special requirements other than just pressing the right buttons, sometimes you can even screw that up. And I certainly did. So I'll be looking to get this Fatality in another fight in the Kombat League. So I'll be taking that pair into the Kombat League, and I'm going to try and get that Fatality, which I would like to just go ahead and win the entire set, and then after I win the final match of the set, that's when I'll try to do that Fatality. After all, I do this little thing where I win the entire set before doing the Fatalities, because then it feels like I truly earned them, and I really get to enjoy the fact that I was able to pull that off and win everything. Now, the person I end up getting randomly paired against in the Kombat League is another Omni-Man user, but the big difference here is they are using the Kameo Frost. And that seems like a decent enough pairing. I haven't really used it myself, but Omni-Man having a few combos that I believe end in overheads, having Frost have a low freeze is an advantageous thing because it keeps your opponent guessing just a little bit, or at the very least it gives them something else that they need to be looking for, which the more stuff you look for, the more likely it is you're going to make some mistakes. So I could see that combo being pretty good, and even if it's not like the best one for Omni-Man, any cameo that's going to allow you the opportunity to get free combos off of a freeze, well, I mean, it's kind of hard to screw that up. That's going to be good with pretty much anybody. One noteworthy thing about this fight that I'll go ahead and point out early on is that I replaced the original audio just with the stage music for this area. I think the stage is called the Great Hall or something like that. So yeah, I have that playing in the background, so you're not going to hear like any sort of combat related noises, no punches, no kicks, no sounds of impact, nothing like that. And the reason for that being is that my opponent was talking throughout this match, and rather than try to edit around everything that they were saying or what background noise they had going on, this just seems simpler without it being completely blank or you just only being able to hear me. So at least we get the stage background music, even if it's not the original audio. The only time you really hear any major audio in relation to combat is when the actual Fatality comes into play. Now, I was able to use that audio because at that point, well, my opponent wasn't talking. I suppose there's more detail to that, but I'll talk about it whenever we get there. Just know that we still get to enjoy the Fatality sound effects. Now, I don't necessarily know what it was about when I was using Omni-Man, but during that time, that was the most frequent point when the opponents I was getting were wanting to talk like the entire time. And naturally, with it being online gaming, the people who were wanting to talk, well, they definitely did not have any nice things to say. So no need to really repeat any of that specifically, but I just found it really odd that for some reason, whenever I was playing as Omni-Man, that seems to be the point whenever this kind of behavior in my opponents was really just coming out in pretty much every single fight that I had. Now I have to imagine that's just really random luck that I got paired up against people like that. Or maybe Omni-Man just has that impact on people. I mean, I wouldn't think so. I think it's just more of a luck of the draw scenario, but yeah, with him, it happened more frequently by far. Because I think I've had to do this for a few different Omni-Man videos. Like, I know I did it for the Like Putty Holiday Special video. I had to do it for the Baraka video. And I'm sure there are more, but those two immediately come to mind, and now this one. And since the DLC characters have less finishers than the other characters, I think it's kind of safe to say that the majority of the Omni-Man videos had to be edited around just because of the situation. It's just kind of funny how much trouble the Omni-Man videos gave me in this department. Well, alright, that is one match in the books and Omni-Man won. The only problem was it was not my Omni-Man. My opponent went ahead and won the very first match of the set. So we're going into match number 2 with me in a deficit. They are leading 1-0. And after they took the very first match of the set, they decided to try and end it in style with a fatality. The one they went with is very specifically the Frost Fatality. And I believe that one is called Breaking Points. I've had to do that before as well for one of my other videos, and I paired her up with Reptile in that video. And I'm pretty sure Breaking Point is the name of that fatality. So yeah, not an amazing start by me, considering I now find myself in a deficit against my opponent in this set. But there is room for optimism to be had, because in that first match we did go into a third and final round against each other, and that third and final round came down to us both being well below 30% health, so that match could have gone either way had one person just not blocked correctly, or, some other decisions were made instead of what actually happened. So even though I did end up losing that very first match, I did not feel like in any way I was in over my head, and that this was still very much a winnable situation. I just needed to pull it all together and make sure that going forward, the correct Omni-Man ended up winning. And that was proving to be easier said than done, because the very first round of the second match went very poorly for me. Like, I barely got any hits in against the other Omni-Man, and the other Omni-Man had significant, very good fortune whenever it came to getting the frost freezes on me. Like, I'm pretty sure they got 2 or 3 of them against me, so that's 3 free combos against my Omni-Man, which, whenever you have that kind of luck, you're probably going to win the round, unless you're just really screwing up. So yeah, I very suddenly found myself in a situation where the other Omni-Man only had to win one more round, and then suddenly the entire set was going to go to them. On the plus side, the very next round ended up going in my favor, although it took a lot of work to win it. Again, we found ourselves both well under 30% health, only this time I ended up being the one who came out on top, unlike the last time that was the situation. So room for optimism, but I was still just one round away from defeat, so things were still not looking amazing. So while there was certainly room for optimism early on after what happened in the very first match, I could not get complacent or get overconfident in my ability to come back. I still actually had to make the effort and actually execute the comeback, which seemed like a pretty reasonable expectation once I saw that I had nearly max health and my opponent was already below 30% health. So barring a catastrophic meltdown by me, it looked like the second match was going to go to me and we'd be all tied up 1-1, and whoever won the next match would be the one who won the entire set. And finalizing that scenario was me landing a massive uppercut to deplete the last of my opponent's health, and it also activated the classic Brutality, which, well, you saw it for yourself. The opponent got his head uppercutted the fuck off, which I am very thrilled about, since after all, my opponent did decide to go ahead and do a fatality against me in the very first match. So keeping that in mind, it was very nice to match his finisher with one of my own, and it was a quick one too, so I didn't waste a whole lot of time doing it. So yeah, I matched finisher with finisher. We were going into a third and final match, and whoever won the final one, well, they were going to be, I suppose, the better Omni-Man. And if it ended up being me, I would be able to do my fatality in the manner for which I tend to enjoy doing them, having wrapped up an entire set, and then solidifying that victory with one final fatality. And in this scenario, with it going down to a third and final match, if I ended up doing it, it would be a very well-earned fatality. And yet again, for like the third time, we find ourselves in a situation where both of us are below 30% health, and this could just go either way at this point. Oh, that is awesome. Okay. He went for the fatal blow, and I managed to grab him out of it, which is something I did not even know you could do. And hell yeah, okay. That ends up solidifying the first round of the final match going into my favor. So now the tables have completely turned. In the second match, my opponent only had to win one more round in order to win everything. But suddenly he finds himself in the opposite situation where if I win one more round, I win the entire set. Man, things can turn around really quickly in these games. But with that being said, I cannot get too overconfident. As quickly as this turned around in my favor, it could easily turn right back around out of my favor. So I will temper my excitement just a little bit, and let's see if I do in fact manage to pull off the comeback. And with this combo, I should do at least 300 damage to the opponents, and they will then find themselves below 30% health. So forget what I said earlier. I am excited. I think the comeback is happening. And if you're thinking to yourself, wait, don't you know the outcome of this fight? I mean, you fought it and now you're commentating on it after the fact. Well, You are correct. I'm just treating this in the same way you would do like if it were the WWE with the amazing sports entertainment. So I kind of just act this thing out as if I don't already know how the script ends. Or at least sometimes I do.
Fatality. Omni-Man wins.
And there it is official. The comeback was real. My Omni-Man was the better Omni-Man. I won, and we got to do the Kameo Kung Lao Fatality Clean Cut. And yeah, with the Clean Cut Fatality already knocked out, that's pretty much going to do it for this video. And I will be sure to show off that Fatality one final time at the very end of this outro. That way anyone who sticks around has the opportunity to enjoy it one final time before we part ways. And yeah, I am pretty happy with this one. Despite the commentary from my opponent, it was a pretty good match. After all, it went down to a third and final match, and the previous two matches went down to a third and final round. Fortunately for me, it was a little bit less stressful in that final match where I ended up winning back-to-back rounds and my opponent did not take a single one. And then I ended up winning the entire set and getting the clean-cut fatality. So yeah, overall, not bad. And we got exactly what we came here for. So if you enjoyed that fatality and would like to see more of my Fatal Friday related content, I do have plenty more of it on the Thor's Entertainment channel under the Mortal Kombat 1 online playlist. And if you're into other things related to Mortal Kombat, I also have playlists available for the story modes for other Mortal Kombat games. But yeah, that is going to be it for this video. Again, I hope you enjoyed it. Take care, and I will see you next time.
Fatality. Omni-Man wins.